Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our program, Point of View. Today, we are discussing a topic that affects many families and students: homework. Is it a helpful tool for learning, or does it sometimes do more harm than good? To explore this important question, we have two guests with different perspectives. First, Mr. David Miller, an experienced teacher who believes homework plays a positive role in education, and Ms. Sarah Chen, a child development specialist who has some concerns about the impact of homework. We are looking forward to a very interesting discussion. Let's begin with opening statements.
Thank you, Ms. Rostova. Good morning. I am happy to be here to talk about homework. In my years of teaching, I have seen that homework is a very useful tool for students when it is used correctly. Its main benefit is that it helps students practice and understand what they learn in the classroom. Think about learning a new skill, like playing the piano. You cannot learn just by listening to the teacher. You need to practice. Homework provides this chance for practice. For example, if students learn new grammar rules in English class, they can use these rules in sentences for homework. This helps them to remember the rules and use them more confidently. Another important point is that homework helps students develop good habits. They learn to manage their time and organize their tasks. They learn to be responsible for their own work. These are not just school skills, these are life skills. They are very important for their future studies at university and also for their jobs later in life. Furthermore, homework can be a bridge between home and school. When students bring homework home, parents get a chance to see what their children are studying. They can offer support if a child has questions, or simply show interest in their learning. This involvement can be very positive for a child's motivation. Of course, the homework must be well planned. It should not be too long or too difficult. It should be meaningful and clearly connected to what was taught in class. So, to summarize my opening thoughts, I believe that well-designed homework is not a burden, but a valuable part of the learning process that helps students learn more effectively and grow as individuals.
Good morning, Ms. Rostova and Mr. Miller. Thank you for having me. While I understand Mr. Miller's points about practice and responsibility, I believe we must look very carefully at the potential negative effects of homework on students, especially younger ones. My main concern is the stress and pressure that homework can cause. Children today often have very busy schedules, with school and sometimes other activities. When a lot of homework is added, it can make students feel very tired, anxious, and worried. This stress is not good for their learning, and it's certainly not good for their overall health and happiness. Another important issue is that homework can take away valuable time from other activities that are essential for a child's development. Children need time to play freely, to be creative, to spend quality time with their families, and to participate in sports or hobbies. They also need enough sleep, which is very important for growing brains and bodies. Too much homework can mean less time for these vital experiences. Then there is the question of fairness, or what we call equity. Not all students have the same environment at home. Some students have a quiet place to study and parents who can help them if they get stuck. However, other students may not have these advantages. They might live in a noisy apartment, or their parents might work long hours and not be available to help. For these students, homework can be an extra source of difficulty and can actually make the learning gap between students wider, not smaller. So while the idea of homework might seem good, we need to seriously consider if it is always the best or fairest way to help all students learn and thrive. Perhaps there are other, better ways.
Ms. Chen has raised some important points, especially about student well-being and fairness. I agree that too much homework, or homework that is not appropriate for the student's level, can definitely be a problem. No teacher wants to cause unnecessary stress for their students. The goal is always to support their learning, not to overwhelm them. However, I don't think the solution is to remove homework completely. Instead, the focus should be on the times quality and asterisk quantity times of homework. It must be purposeful. For example, a short, focused task that reviews a key concept can be very effective. Maybe 20 to 30 minutes of homework for younger students and a bit more for older students can teach them to use their time well without taking away all their free time. This kind of homework reinforces learning and helps students build confidence when they see they can complete tasks independently. It's about finding the right balance to support learning and development, not to make them tired or anxious. Teachers also need to be mindful of students' home situations and provide support or alternatives if needed.
Mr. Miller talks about the right amount and right kind of homework, and I appreciate that. But in practice, this can be very difficult to achieve for every single student in a diverse classroom. Children learn at different paces and have different strengths and weaknesses. What is just right for one student might be too much for another, or too easy for a third. He also mentioned parental help. While it's wonderful when parents can be involved, relying on this can create more inequality. Some parents may want to help but don't understand the subject matter, or they might teach it in a different way than the teacher. This can lead to frustration for both the child and the parent, and sometimes even arguments at home, which is not a positive learning environment. I also want to emphasize that children learn so much through activities that are not formal homework. Playing, exploring their interests, reading for pleasure, even just having conversations with family. These are all rich learning experiences. We should value these informal learning opportunities much more.
Thank you both for those responses. It's clear this is a complex issue with valid points on both sides. Mr. Miller, you mentioned purposeful homework. How can teachers ensure that homework is truly useful and engaging for all students, especially considering that students learn in different ways and at different speeds? What does that look like in a practical sense?
That's a very good question. Teachers can use differentiation. This means giving different types of homework tasks, or choices of tasks, to suit different learning styles and abilities. For example, some students might prefer to write a summary, while others might show their understanding by creating a diagram or a short presentation. Another idea is project-based homework, where students can explore a topic in more depth over a longer period, allowing them to work at their own pace. It's also vital for teachers to clearly explain the purpose of the homework. Why are they doing this particular task? And, importantly, to provide feedback on the homework that helps students learn, not just a grade.
That sounds like a more flexible approach. Ms. Chen, you've highlighted the importance of time for other activities and the potential for stress. If schools were to reduce homework significantly, or even eliminate it for certain age groups, what are some effective alternative strategies that schools and parents could use to help students consolidate their learning and develop good study habits?
There are many alternatives. In school, more time could be dedicated to guided practice and collaborative learning activities, so students can solidify their understanding with the teacher's support. Concepts can be reviewed at the beginning of the next lesson. At home, parents can encourage a love of reading by reading with their children, or providing access to interesting books. They can engage children in everyday learning activities. Cooking involves maths and science. Discussing current events helps with critical thinking. Even simple board games can teach valuable skills. The focus should be on creating a stimulating environment where learning is natural and enjoyable, not a chore.
Those are some very interesting and practical ideas for making learning effective and enjoyable, both inside and outside the classroom. It seems that the quality, purpose, and context of any learning task are indeed very important factors to consider. Now, as we move towards the end of our discussion, I would like to ask each of you for a brief closing statement. Mr. Miller, would you like to begin?
Thank you. To conclude, I strongly believe that homework, when thoughtfully implemented, remains a valuable educational tool. It provides essential opportunities for students to review and consolidate what they've learned in class, which deepens their understanding. It also plays a crucial role in fostering independence, responsibility, and essential time management skills that will benefit them throughout their lives. The key, as we've discussed, is that homework must be meaningful, age-appropriate, and not an excessive burden. It should be interesting, clearly connected to classroom learning, and designed to build confidence. When used wisely and with clear purpose, homework supports students effectively and helps them to achieve their full academic potential. It is about reinforcement, not repetition for the sake of it.
In summary, while the intention behind homework may be good, we cannot ignore the significant risks it can pose to students' well-being. The potential for increased stress, reduced time for family and play, and the creation of inequalities are very real concerns that must be addressed. A child's natural curiosity and their overall happiness are fundamental to effective learning. We should prioritize creating a balanced and healthy learning life for all children, where learning is an engaging discovery, not a source of anxiety. There are many rich and varied ways children learn and develop skills that do not involve formal, take-home assignments. Let's focus on fostering a love for learning through diverse experiences, and ensuring that school supports the whole child, not just their academic output.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller and Ms. Chen, for sharing your insights and for this very thoughtful and balanced discussion on the complex topic of homework. We've heard compelling arguments from both sides. Mr. Miller emphasized how well-designed homework can help with practice, develop important life skills, and connect home with school. Ms. Chen highlighted concerns about student stress, the loss of time for other crucial developmental activities, and issues of fairness and equity. It is clear that if homework is to be a part of a child's education, its purpose, quantity, and impact on well-being need to be considered very carefully by educators and parents alike. This discussion has certainly given us all a lot to think about. Thank you to our audience for joining us today on Point of View.